Buenos dias from Costa Rica. Hello, hello. I am Amanda Johnson. Of course, you may know that already. And I am here because I am so delighted to feel inspired to once again drop in with a beautiful author that I have the privilege of working with to share who she is and why she's doing what she's doing with you as a source of inspiration. She and I spoke earlier today, and what she was speaking to was so inspirational to me. I requested very fiercely that we record it and get this out to the world because I feel what she is experiencing and going through in her process is invaluable to others. So this is Rita Kampen, and she is the forthcoming author of a book yet to be titled, and yet it will have the best title once that comes through more clearly. So Rita, thank you so much for joining and doing this so spontaneously with me.
My pleasure. I wish we would have recorded then, because now that you've set it up, I'm like, oh, hope we can recreate some of what happens when we meet together in that creative process here, and I trust we will.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's always the right time. That's one of my tenets, I believe, in terms of the work that I do, which is to doula the process of writing a book and supporting authors like yourself and bringing it into the world. I'm an avid proponent and believer in divine timing. So when we weren't ready to record then, or we hadn't thought to start recording, it is going to be absolutely perfect now, just as the birth of a book is always in the perfect timing. So what I'm most interested in hearing today and sharing with those who are tuning in and watching this as a source of inspiration for them at this point in their lives is really around the process of writing a book. And I'm going to leave it quite open in terms of, and maybe I'll throw a few things out and you respond in terms of what feels most alive for you. Because for me, it's something around why you're writing a book, what has come up for you in that process, and really from that space, what do you want others to know about the book writing process?
Absolutely. Oh, wow. Where do I start? Well, actually, in terms of the book, the thought of writing a book and actually saying out loud to people, that was 5 years ago already. And I did a lot of writing. I put a lot of words down. In fact, I've written words most of my life. I've always loved words. They're a way to call things out of the shadows for me. But the act of writing something more than a blog post or an article, that was a huge mystery. And so I tried on my own for, 3 or 4 months we've been working together now, minus the 5 years. And while I have a lot of words on paper, I needed help. I needed a way to it's like writing is a craft, is an art, but writing a book, a memoir in my case, is a whole different thing. It's like trying to figure out how to take your life and squish it into something. And so I didn't know where the words were supposed to go and which stories to highlight. And so this process of having somebody who is been so instrumental on a weekly basis to check in with and get clear on the next step has been the difference maker for me. And I'm so grateful. And, I'm nowhere near done. And I've gone already in the early days of being like, I actually don't think I can do this. I don't have the skill as a writer to feel like I can do justice to my story. I felt like that for the first couple of months, as well as these conversations. I've just clung to a couple of words. One is just trust. That was a huge one. Just trust. And because I'm kind of a lover of metaphor and images to help me through tough times, Amanda and I kind of, she'd what's it called? Let me go on and on sometimes, because she knew what I needed was something to hold on to. And I literally imagined this rope bridge over this chasm. and the bottom was like, this is never going to happen. And this was a terrible idea. What was I thinking? But, so the feet are on the bridge, taking their steps, and I'm holding on above me. And and these are the themes that I'm starting to understand are revealing themselves as I'm making my way. And it's crazy how that quote about, as you write a book, the book writes you. And I cannot believe the therapeutic, creative energy that has come out of this process. I would never have guessed at. So.
Goosebumps. So, and I'm in Costa Rica. I'm not cold. Yeah. So, Rita, I love that you got to that point here in that beautiful thank you share, because to me, that is why I do what I do and have such a privilege to not have only experienced it myself, now to witness others experience it. And I would love for you to go a little bit more into that. What has unfolded or revealed itself? You don't have to speak to it specifically. You could speak to it more metaphorically, however you want to speak to it, which is that as you've been taking those trust-filled steps forward and allowed this book to write you, what has shifted or what has been revealed to you in the process?
Mm-hmm. When you are living your life, I'm 55 now, and I'm a fairly reflective person. Like I say, I have a bin full of journals. So words have always been my tool for understanding life, I guess, and making sense of things. But now to sort of gather it into something that I want to share is actually a bigger hurdle or leap than I would have imagined. And so not only do I have to trust that as I do this, the skill and, and a competence and just that I will love what I come up with, that there's no guarantee on any given writing day. Sometimes I was like, is it any good, Amanda? I don't know. I can't tell. It's like sometimes when you're cooking and you just, I don't know. But as I've stuck with it, and I'm glad I've done enough other things that are new in my adult life to know that this is not an unusual experience when you're starting something you've never done before. The feeling of I honestly don't know if I've got what it takes. So I came up with one image, and again, that's what helps me. I said, if I look at this entire thing, I freeze up and I just get too scared. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write one patchwork of a quilt at a time, and that patch might make it into the book, or it might not. But I have to trust that whatever I'm doing this week or this day is the process, and then I can sink into it and feel like, it's like that next step. It's like they always say, you just have to take the next step and trust it. So I've literally got all these patches. Some might call them chapters, but we don't know yet if they actually are going to be the chapters. And I'm just trusting that right now, that is enough. In fact, that is exactly what needs to happen. And the moment I would start to think, oh, like, how's this going to work? And what are people going to think of this? I would freeze. And it's like back to the patch, like just write this one piece, trust it, trust that it will either help you know what the next patch is, and then this one can, go to patch heaven. And so for me, I was amazed in a way at just how much I had to take myself by the hand emotionally and not think past just today. And a lot of that we figured out, as we talk, okay, let's write this piece, and by the end of every time I had like that one little hint of what to do, and then I had a place to start and I would do it. And so the confidence that has built And again, there's part of me that's still like, well, I don't know, what's this quilt gonna look like by the end? Um, but on the other hand, this idea of watching my brain and my heart make connections with my story has just, it's kind of like, you're hiring someone to help you do a project and you end up getting the best therapy of your life. I mean, who knew? I didn't. So I don't know if that
Well,
answers your
that's
question.
yes, it does in many ways. And anyway, forgive the coughing fit that I had. I believe we saved your beautiful response there. And yeah, I loved that. The something wanted to be spoken. So thank you for speaking it. What I wanted to, so I'm going to speak with this and then add something that I remember, I believe you said this morning. So first of all, yes, this is beyond writing a book. I think I shared this before with you. You know, it's not, it's about writing a book and it's not about writing a book, right? The what I believe I am here for, we are here for when we enter this space and container together is far beyond the book itself. And the book itself is, I believe you even said this morning, you know, it grounds it. And I feel that, right? It takes these stories, these passions, these desires, these concepts, and it grounds it in to something physical, which is so, and that's the journey for me that brings about the therapy, the healing, the transformation.
Yeah.
And I heard you say, I believe this morning, the idea that you're being pulled forward. And I love that image. And I was going to ask if you want to speak to that a bit more, because I feel that's where you were getting to just now, right? As you're trusting the process. And in a sense, can I focus here and now? And by the way, I love the metaphor that the book has, writing a book, anything creative has on life in general, right? So as we move through a book writing process, like any creative endeavor, we can also then apply that, I feel, to our life as a whole, right? Am I being present with what is? And am I trying to get too far ahead? Am I trusting what's coming next? And so anyway, but I love that image, and I was going to invite you to speak to that a bit more if you feel called.
It's in the beginning, it literally felt like, I was like, come on, let's go. Like, it was behind me. And I, having gone through breast cancer 2 years ago, I kind of boiled everything down. It's like, if this doesn't go, the way I prefer, and I'm not here for very long, what do you absolutely need to do yet in your life? And there was two things, and Rice's book was one of them. So I absolutely knew I wanted to do it, regardless of, outcome at that point. It was like, this, I must take the chance. I must risk the energy, the time, the money to do this. And so hiring you became part of that commitment to myself. But, here we are starting. Okay. I mean, that's a huge hurdle already to get over, but I am now dragging that something, I don't know, my sheer will or confidence. But today I felt something shift, because maybe we've got enough down, and I've seen it enough times, and I've lived through enough of those times where it was like, I can hardly breathe. I mean, I've had sleepless nights, I'm not going to lie, reliving some of that stuff can be very, it opens something, but that's very vulnerable as well. But today it was like, I knew exactly what was coming next. In fact, it wasn't just, I know what's happening. It was like pulling. It was like, oh, we're going here, and we know, and what a lovely feeling, and what a sense of like, it's like, I'm not dragging you anymore, you're pulling me. And that's the best way I can describe it. And it feels so, it feels like, they always talk about this, the forces align when you are willing to show up. And that's what it's starting to feel like. And I get emotional because you can't guarantee that, you can just show up. So.
And just showing up, by the way, as you mentioned, can sometimes feel like the biggest hurdle. And again, why I have goosebumps covering every inch of my body right now is because that when we are willing to show up, because we aren't always willing, and sometimes it takes some, coaxing and some pushing, right, to show up. Because once we do, boom, magic happens, miracles happen, alignment happens, flow, life happens. And we don't know for how long, as you said. We know it'll be in this moment while I'm here, showing up. And so I commend you, and I commend myself, and I commend all of those out there listening who are showing up. And if you know you can show up a little bit more, then that's the invitation, right? That's the invitation to, where else is that opportunity to show up? Where's that next step? Because what I'm hearing you say, Rita, which I love so much, again, I take the what happens in the book creation process, let's look at life. How many of us, I know for myself, and there are still days, I'm not saying it never happens, it's shifting, right, of pulling myself through life. I'm dragging all of this stuff with me, and I'm to then being pulled forward. What a shift. And I'm so honored that I got to witness at least one of those in your life just today. And it's deeply, deeply honoring. And that is for me why I do what I do, to say that again, and what I want more of us to experience, not just in writing a book. So if you have a book you want to write, it's a great opportunity to experience it in that way, and in life in general. So thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And before we sign off, is there any last words you would like to share? Anything else of insight, wisdom, inspiration?
When I first started 5 years ago, there was the enthusiasm, but I heard myself say a few times, I think I might be still living the book. And I was right. So, trust timing, but don't let it stop you from taking steps, because it might not feel right, but just take that next step. Get on that bridge, start sewing your quilt, whatever metaphor works for you, in whatever project feels compelling to your heart. Just do it, and find a resource that matches your way of seeing the world, that you can have someone to walk alongside you, and with expertise that can step in right when you need them. You don't have to do it alone. And Amanda's just been an incredible gift. Thanks to another writer friend. Call out to you, Marjorie, for sharing just how amazing her experience was with me. And so you came pre-vetted with love, and I am just full gratitude. Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure. And thank you for all tuning in. These are the moments I live for, and I want all of us to live for. So Rita, thank you for showing up, for being brave, doing the vulnerable thing. I cannot wait. Literally, I cannot wait. I can wait. I will wait. And I'm so excited to hold this book in my hands and to read it and share it. It is beautiful to watch its gestation and formation. It is so divine. Thank you, everyone. If you have any questions for Rita, for me, please reach out, connect with us. If you want to know what it's like to write a book, we are here. I am here. And I would love to journey with any of you who feel compelled in that way. And then, of course, when the time is right and ready, be sure to get a copy of Rita's book. Make sure you follow her, connect with her. You will want to read this one, I promise. Until we see one another again in the virtual world or in person, so much love, many, many blessings.